as you may recall, Henry Ford once said, so you could have a car, at least it's black. So I think this was the starting point in the automotive industries in terms of how could we somehow personalize a car for an individual. So if you look now, how all of our, I would say, competitors and ourselves, we're trying to individualize our cars in terms of shapes, in terms of color, in terms of interior design, in terms of engines and gearboxes. I think we made a huge step forward from that point that we were just able to deliver one car. Coming on hand on this is you need a huge complex supply chain capabilities, as you may be aware of. Many things like just-in-sequence, just-in-time production, batch sizes in terms of how you apply your colors to the exterior design because you cannot switch between one car to the other. So all the things we are well aware of. Interestingly, will be how we're heading in the future in terms of how do we individualize a car in the future.
And how does technology enable that? Because you're talking about a fundamental change in how cars are produced and distributed.
I think technology is the key that we're able to control the supply chain. If you see, for instance, let's take just the seat. So we have runabout for a Golf, we have at least 5 different seats. So it could be a leather seat, it could be electronically geared seat, whatsoever. So a seat itself is quite a big piece that has to move into the car. And the question is, where do you store those things? So IT is the capability that you know exactly at what time the supplier at a just-in-sequence has to supply the seat exactly to the manufacturing point. So without IT, this will not work. Otherwise, we would have, we have the hugest factory at Wolfsburg in Europe. I think it would be at least double the size if we would not have the IT capabilities to manage the complex supply chain.
In order to be personalized, you have to understand who the individuals are, right? So there's a whole component of knowing your consumer or the customer, right, of the product that you have. And that's where definitely IT plays a large role, right, in capturing information, either capturing the information that the consumer gives us, right, by specific interactions, right, through store experiences or online experiences, but also capturing the information that exists in the social media, right, and really start listening to those things and putting those things together in a way that I know who my consumers are, and then how do I now tailor an experience, which is not only product, right? It could also be how we approach you, how we reach out to you, how we show up in retail, or how we show up on emails when you do campaigns like that. So really tailor the whole experience of a consumer, right, through the lens that the brand wants to provide. And that's all IT, right? Because we need to capture a lot of information, we need to analyze and slice it. We need to do it in a way that is not creepy, right? That is really giving a service, right? And a certain degree, you have to make sure that the consumer is in control, right? So there's a sort of a dial equivalent, right? And control of how much information does the consumer allow us to have, and how much information does the consumer allow us to use, right? And if we then turn that information into a service, which makes the experience really relevant for that individual in that moment, right? Then I think you get on the right track for personalization. And then behind all that, you need supply chain, right? You need product, you need all that. You need all the efficiencies in the company to make sure that when you do a personalized experience, you actually make money out of it, right? Because it's all too easy to give a personalized experience and lose a lot of money. So that's where we currently are at. How do you create the experience and make it a viable economical proposition?
One of the things which has shifted is that it's not the traditional business case. I don't think we're now starting with, this is the business case and we know how much it's going to create. It's information, it's the personalisation, and we don't actually know yet what it will pay off, but it is a leap of faith. And not everything is going to pay off in a tangible way in an immediacy. Some things are going to pay off, and it may be a long time, as you said with your Nike shoes. An example would be Aetna Life, I think, medical, their insurance. They just put out an app, right? I don't know, it was not long ago here. And it was a very simple app. I don't think it cost them a lot of money to create. And it was when you went on holidays or something, and it told you where the local medical emergency services were. And it was just a free app. And And people, but if you're a member, it had your medical records. And so when you went there, when your child was sick, it already downloaded, the medical records to that emergency services. And so when you walked in, you got priority service. Your medical records were there. So, little Johnny, they already said, well, I already know that he has asthma and he has this and this is his medical. So you got, preferred and sort of specialist sort of treatment straight away. That sort of caught on, but, for the non-members, at least they knew if I was sick, I could get to the medical service very quickly, and I knew in a strange city, I could find where I could get help. Their membership went up, and so it came this revenue source, but they didn't intend that. But their revenue went up, very high, right? But that wasn't a business case. But it had an unintended revenue consequence, which was fantastic. So they're not starting with a business case in mind. And so you could think this, but it was a personalization sort of model.
I challenge you all to think about personalization in the context of the business, right? Employees are consumers too, right? And there's a lot of technology that gets applied to within the corporations. And I venture to say that we're not doing a good job to making the employee experience a personalized experience, right? And I think there's as much opportunity and necessity to think about within the corporate environment, within the offices, how do you create that as a personalized experience? Because each of you, right, and predecessors from you, you have plenty of choices, right? So where would you go work, right? Well, you go work in the environment where you can do your best because you have a personalized experience in the work environment too. So think about personalization, right, really in the context of all the things that are happening, not just the consumer side, which is obviously important from a commercial perspective, but also within the corporation itself, because there's a huge opportunity for us to go after that.
There's a tendency on the software market. In the past, the software vendors put as much functionality in a solution as possible, and definitely this makes it complex. So now there is a tendency to split it up in small apps, and you decide which app you want to use.
So what you're suggesting maybe is extending that choice all the way down to the employee level rather than the CIO deciding which applications people within the organization are going to use.
Well, that's right. I mean, we've certainly looked at that where productivity. I choose how I'm going to be productive at work. There's going to be core applications in an organisation, but really. I mean, I know as a group executive, I choose on my iPad or on my laptop or whatever how I'm actually productive. I know how I can get my work done in the fastest possible way, and I know as you students and faculty, you do as well. So it's actually bring your own and choose your own, and we need to adapt to that in the workplace, and certainly that's the motto I have with my organisation, and I need to change the security options in my organisation to be able to adapt to that, because actually I want my workforce to be as productive as possible, and so I need to be able to flex for that opportunity so everybody can be as productive, and they're not all going to use the same corporate tool set. It has to be, choose your own productivity tools to get the job done, because really what I want is the outcome. I really don't have to prescribe how you get it done.